Welcome in, everybody. A little bit of discussion, heated discussion before this show starts today, but that was from yesterday's talk. We got two Penn State fans on two different sides of an argument, so perhaps we'll get back into that this weekend on tomorrow's show, perhaps. But I'm Alec Cabrera, that's Matt Morrison, that's Mike Wolfgang. You know us. You either love us or hate us. Either way, you're here. So strap yourselves in. We got an hour-long ride. Question of the day from yesterday here. Which NFL receiver is a third-generation NFL player? Answer that one, Cooper Kupp. Your question of the day for today, Thursday, September 30th. Which of the following players share the NFL record for most career safeties forced? So you have to pick 2 or 3 or 4. Perhaps they all are tied for this record, but which of the following players share the record? Jared Allen, Doug English, Ted Hendricks, Alan Page, and Jason Taylor. Leave your answer somewhere. Come back tomorrow. See if you get it right. It's Thursday. We're going to recap a little bit here. A few more NFL games. We're talking Thursday night football. Yep. Then we're going to get into college football. We're going to give this... Thursdays are going to start tending to be more college football preview day. Then we'll get down to the few biggest games on Friday with the NFL preview. But guys, let's get into one of the biggest blowouts from this past weekend. One of the highest scoring games we've seen so far in the young season. The Buffalo Bills now 2-1 after a 43-21 victory over the Washington football team here. Josh Allen, 32 of 43, 358 yards and 4 touchdowns for him. Heineke on the other side, I mean, he didn't have a terrible day, but obviously he needed to be better because the 2 interceptions hurt the squad. 14 of 24, bless you, Matt. 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2 interceptions hurt. They couldn't find the ground game. Gibson, McKissick, and Heineke were all around 20, 30 yards. That's got to be better. The Bills had to bring in Mitch Trubisky. He got 1 pass, 1 yard. Definitely an odd line. What were you guys' takeaway from this game?
The Washington's defense kind of continued to struggle. I mean, you can maybe throw out the fact that I was going to say, you could probably say they're overrated, especially the front part of their defense, which you thought was their strength.
Like they have some big guys too. You know?
I mean, but you look at this
with Chase and Sweat too. But man,
I mean, you look at their 4 games on the season so far. I mean, yeah, 3 games. Allowed 43 points to the Bills. Allowed 29 to the Giants, one of the worst offenses in football. And then they allowed 20 to the Chargers. You even go back preseason, that last preseason game, they allowed 37 to the Ravens in week 4 of the preseason. So it's not been a defense that has performed whatsoever so far on the season, and we're still waiting for them to get back to that form they were in last year, because right now, they are not that top 10 defense that they showed last season. The offense continues to struggle, and this is a shell of what it was last year, a team that was in the playoffs and made a strong run down the stretch, but this is not that Washington football team we saw last year. But I think on the other side of this, for the Bills, you look at this more of, hey, maybe we are that dang good, They were 1-1 coming into this one with the bad loss against the Steelers. The games they had in hand and probably should have won. Then they come out blank the Dolphins in week 2, and now here week 3 are looking dominant. There was a lot of talk after that week 1 loss to the Steelers that this Bills team was not legit anymore. They're falling apart. They can't run the football. They can't do this. They can't do that. Devin Singletary only had 26 yards, but Zach Moss, Matt, just you and I were talking about yesterday. When your number 1 guy is struggling, and you need to be able to have that number 2 back that can come in and help out. Zach Moss did that in this game. 60 yards for the Bills off the bench there. He ended up getting more carries than Singletary as well because of that performance. Trubisky also ran it 4 times, 19 yards.
I mean, you asked about my takeaways from this game. I mean, Buffalo's offense is really starting to go in. 35-0 shutout in week 2 against the Dolphins. Their defense is starting to play better. Then 43 points against Washington. I mean, that's probably my biggest takeaway from the game. They're starting to hit their stride on offense.
Their offense is starting to look like, not like dead on, but starting to look like that Chiefs offense. How that Chiefs offense has been so dominant.
Just explosive plays.
Just does whatever it wants when it wants.
That's what that Bills offense is turning into. So,
and you look ahead now for the Bills. They have another 2 weeks where they're going up against some weaker defenses and have some big chances for points. They have the Texans in this coming week, a team that has allowed over 30 points in, I believe, every game so far. So the Texans are not looking good defensively. Then they have the Chiefs, who are ranked in the 20s in defense on the season. So 2 good games. That'll be a great game offensively, but it's probably going to turn out the Bills' defense wins that game.
Yeah.
Then, on the other side of this Washington football team, Matt and I We like them.
We do. I do.
For some reason.
I like Taylor Heineke.
Heineke, the next Heineken sponsor.
He just likes the name football team. That's why he likes them.
And he might be getting the beer deal, but it might not be with Heineken. I guess it can be Bud Light or something.
What?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. There's like a whole article over it.
That's the biggest steal.
I know, it is.
They're
What are you doing?
It's right there in front of them.
But I like their defense, of course. I mean, you like, Chase Young. I mean, because he was a Buckeye. But
Right.
I like Chase Young, too.
Well, he is sweet, too.
I
Terry
like
McLaurin
Montez
on
Sweat.
offense.
Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Antonio Gibson as the running back, too.
Antonio Gibson.
They have a lot of good weapons on this offense. Yeah. And, clearly the offense really hasn't struggled for Washington. 16 points against the Chargers. They were finding themselves there. Next week they come out 30 points against New York, and then against a good Bills defense, they'll put up 21. So it's not that the offense is struggling. It's just that the offense not consistent down the field. The 2 interceptions from Heineke hurt, and then they couldn't run the football with any consistency. Those two factors put in together are definitely the reason why this team was so far out of this ball game. Because if that offense performs in this game, those 2 interceptions turn into 2 more touchdowns, it's a 43-35 game if you just had on 2 touchdowns to the score. And Washington's in a good spot. Next week, or this weekend, they have the Falcons. This is a winnable game for Washington, but it's probably also a winnable game for the Falcons, too. Both teams are going up against terrible defenses, and neither team is showing they have a great offense. Both have shown mediocre offense.
This is definitely a game for Washington to kind of get a game going in the right direction for their offense, get some consistency. You can talk about the passing attack. They still have Logan Thomas, their tight end. They have formidable guys on their offense. Just a matter of stringing stuff together.
Yeah, we'll obviously preview all the games tomorrow on the Casual Sports Podcast, do our entire NFL rundown and predictions as well. So, before we talk any more about those games, let's get into our next game here. A 3-0 team, maybe an overrated 3-0 team considering who they faced. Denver Broncos shut out the Jets 26-0, which I think is the impressive part of this game. It's the 0 they put up on the under end. You expected them to win. You expected them to put up a lot of touchdowns in this game. 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 from Melvin Gordon, a guy who we looked back 2 years ago. Everyone was like, "Oh, this guy is washed. He's over." Actually, you may even go 3-4 years ago, and this is a guy people are like, "Why does this guy even have a job in the league?" Now he's the leading rusher right now for the Broncos, 60 yards and a touchdown for him. He's only averaging 3.3 yards per carry, but I feel like that's kind of been his average. Mm-hmm. He's a very inside rush game, a ground and pound, picking up little things here. So I think as the Broncos move forward, they're going to need either him to pick it up and get those big plays, or they need to find somebody else in that running back room that can create those big plays. They got Javonte Williams, who we have seen kind of get out in space, show some speed. He didn't do great. He did get a touchdown in this game, and Tim Patrick, the wide receiver, was getting out there, 98 yards for him. I'd like Cortland Sutton, though, to get a little more involved in this offense. That's the super important part. KJ Hamler now also out for that offense, too. So that's going to be a big loss. You look on the other side of this, Zach Wilson, 19-35, 160 yards. That part I think you can live with. 2 interceptions you can't. You got to get that back. And once again, what did the Jets not do?
Run
the football is where I was going with it, but they didn't score either.
They don't score either.
6 points in the last 2 weeks, 20 points through 3 games on the season.
Aside from the Jets not scoring, I don't have much from the Jets. There's nothing from them.
No.
As far as the Broncos, you could probably say that they're one of the overrated 3-0 teams, but they're one of my most improved teams coming into the year.
Yes.
And you talk about their passing attack. Tim, what was his name?
Teddy Bridgewater?
No, the receivers. Go back to the receivers. Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick. He definitely stepped up. He's going to have to with KJ Hamler out, so they're going to need guys to step up, and they have gotten it so far.
Yeah, Noah Fant as well. This Broncos team, they beat the teams that they were supposed to beat. Giants, Jaguars, and now the Jets. The next 4 weeks here are going to be a serious test for them. They got to go Ravens next, then the Steelers, and hopefully if the Steelers get their defensive guys back, they'll be stronger. Maybe get a couple more wins, and then you get the Raiders and the Browns. If they split the next 4 weeks, I definitely consider them a contender. I really do.
Oh, man.
But it's going to be tough.
As you were saying, look ahead, you even extend that out to 6 after those 4 games you talk about. They have Washington, who I think is a team they should beat. Yeah. They need to go in there and win it. Then after that, they got a Cowboys, who has turned into a formidable opponent so far in the season. So they can't overlook that game, especially if they go into that one with wins over the Ravens, Steelers, Browns, and Raiders.
Yeah.
So, you get in there. If they can win 3 out of 4 of those games and come in, beat Washington, so they'd be winners of what would it be? 7 of 8 games to start the season. Go week 9 against the Cowboys.
Yeah. I mean,
it's possible. I think they have a tough test, and this is the big test of the season for them. If they get through there, I mean, it's not going to be an easy road ahead because they do have to take the Chiefs again. They have the Eagles. They have the Chargers. They're going to have the Bengals and the Raiders again, and obviously the Chiefs again. So the Lions.
They'll be prepared to get smacked, especially against that Raiders team. They are tough and physical.
Right.
With Max Crosby leading the defense. Oh, my gosh.
It should be a battle of offenses in that game, though, that's for sure.
It's going to be an interesting division of battle in the AFC West. See what the Chiefs do in the next few weeks.
Yeah. Right. Next game here on our slate, another undefeated team went up against a winless squad who stayed winless. Cardinals picked up a 31-19 win over Urban Meyer. Trevor Lawrence in the Jacksonville Jaguars. T-Law on the day, 22 of 34, 219 and a touchdown. You look at that looks fine. The 2 interceptions is the part that I think we've all been kind of seeing. Trevor Lawrence needs to clean that up. He's not having that fantastic offensive line he had at Clemson. He doesn't have that running back that's getting it done all the time. Robinson had a good day, though. 88 yards, 5.9 yards per carry, a touchdown. Even Carlos Hyde had 5.5 yards per carry on the ground. Trevor Lawrence even had 4.5. So you look at that. Cardinals need to step up in the run game there because they just got run all over by an offense that at this point in the season hasn't run the football well. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I think, this is probably one of his better performances if you knock out those 2 interceptions in that game. He was finding his wide receivers with consistency. You look at the spread, Marvin Jones, 6 receptions. DJ Chark, somebody they're going to have to get more involved in this offense, 3 for him. Laviska Shenault, 4 receptions for him. Then James Robinson had 6 on his own. So he's finding his wide receivers better. You see the game starting to slow down for him. He's able to get it out there. But as I was saying, he hasn't had the offensive line that has struggled in his entire career until now. He hasn't had wide receivers that have struggled until now.
Even back to high school.
Right. This is a guy that has been on a stacked team his whole life. Now he's here in the NFL going up against a stacked team on the other side every other week, and the deck is stacked against him every single time because he's obviously the rookie. He's got a rookie coach, and he's got a lot of guys out there that, frankly, some of them are out of their prime, some of them are just not as talented as the guy they're going across from.
I mean, my biggest takeaway from Trevor so far, I mean, you showed his passing numbers. I mean, if you didn't look at the interceptions, you'd think it was a great day for him. Yeah. But so far in the first 3 days, I knew he was going to struggle somewhat. Maybe maybe avoiding hits because their offensive line is bad. I said that when they drafted him. But yeah, his biggest takeaway so far for me is definitely the interceptions. I mean, you didn't see that in Clemson because he was on a stacked team in Clemson, but that's really not so much on the offensive line. I know you got to get outside and you have to try to make plays, and sometimes it leads to interceptions, but some of them, especially that Week 1 performance against Houston, some of them are preventable for him. So they're definitely fixable.
I mean, they're at the point right now. If Trevor Lawrence can slow down the game, obviously rookie year, we don't really look at.
And he's only played 3 games,
right? And we don't look at the interceptions that much. Your rookie year, every rookie is going to have interceptions. Yeah. So far on the season, only one rookie has won a game, and it was only once, and it was Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Mac Jones is the only rookie quarterback right now with a win under his belt.
Well, they're 1-10, right?
1-10 right now, I believe, through the first 3 weeks.
Which isn't too hard to believe. I mean, these guys got drafted terrible teams. So
pretty much, yeah. So, but let's flip it over to the other side now. Kyler Murray finally didn't have a fantastic, amazing, oh my god game. He was 28 of 34. You love that. 316, love that. No touchdowns for him, though, which is kind of the weird point there. He had a rushing touchdown on the ground, and he threw an interception. And A.J. Green, number 1 wide receiver. Christian Kirk, number 2 wide receiver. Both over 100 yards in this game. And that's insane. Even Chase Edmonds in there near 49 yards. You'd love to see D-Hop get more of the ball, though. 3 receptions, 21 yards. As they work together more and more, they're going to find that. It's still early on.
Yeah.
But I want to see Kyler Murray get it out more to those guys. And you can see it. This season has been good for him. He's not running the ball as much. He's finding his zone in the pocket, rolling out if he needs to, and finding his fantastic wide receivers. When you're talking about your wide receivers being, A.J. Green, Kirk, and D-Hop, you don't need to get out. You don't need to be running the football, and I think he's learned that.
I haven't watched the games, but maybe are they double teaming DeAndre Hopkins at all, or is it just one-on-one coverage? Because you remember how they always used to double team Antonio Brown, and that brought guys out like Juju. And that's how Juju was so great. Now they're double teaming him.
So, no, they are. They're single teaming him, and he can't get open.
Well, he still can't get open. But but that's a good thing here with this Cardinals team because they have a plethora, if I can say that right. Yeah, they have
With
a lot
options.
of options
Like
at wide
there you
receiver.
go.
Christian Kirk, we've talked about him before. I mean, even AJ Green, the guy still has stuff in the tank, absolutely. And so it's all right if the one guy doesn't perform, because they have these two other guys they can go to.
Right. I mean, even Chase Edmonds, you saw it out of the backfield in that game, had quite a few receptions, got a decent bit of yards on his own. So, I mean, this was a total performance for the Cardinals. I think the only part you want to see is more passing touchdowns from Kyler Murray. I mean, he's going to start, if he has a game, multiple racking up with one or none touchdowns thrown, people are going to start giving him the Lamar Jackson treatment. And I think that's something he's got to avoid because he does have better arm talent. He's got better wide receivers. He's got a better line. He's got better ability.
He's a freak athlete.
Right. He's a freak of nature when it comes to being the quarterback. And Lamar Jackson has, I think, the speed. Kyler Murray, though, you see that he played baseball. He's got the footwork, man. You see that guy's feet moving. He looks like a shortstop out there controlling the left side of the field. I mean, he's dominant in, where he is. And he has the best footwork I've ever seen out of a quarterback. And his ability to sense what is right behind him every single time. There's so few times he's getting trapped in the pocket.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's definitely where that baseball stuff comes into. His feet are amazing as a quarterback.
But as we're saying here, if he doesn't continue to perform like he has on the season, because on the season so far, you have to be impressed with him in what he's done. 4 touchdowns in that Week 1 game against the Titans. Then you go into the Week 2 game against the Vikings. He had 3 touchdowns there with 400 yards. Now, first time you don't see him throw the touchdowns up. You just got to imagine he's got a rough road coming up here. Rams, 49ers, Browns. Next 3 weeks for him. If he gets limited in those ball games when it comes to passing touchdowns, he's going to get this Lamar Jackson treatment. That's something he's got to avoid because, as we were just saying, I'm pretty sure he's better in every way besides speed, but I think he's still more elusive than Lamar.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd like to see more, like you're saying, out of his passing, but he's definitely more of a better passer than Lamar Jackson is.
Very much so. And he has 2 not so bad running backs behind him. I mean, James Conner, only 43 yards, but, they get the touchdowns.
2 of them.
2 touchdowns, and then, Kyler Murray had a rushing touchdown.
Which you expect to see Kyler Murray get one on the ground with the way he slides out of the pocket. Conner, down in those red zone situations near the 20, he's going to find a hole, and if there's enough space, he's going to hit it, and he's going to be off.
But back to James Conner just for a second. Sometimes some players just don't fit in systems. Like he didn't really fit in that system at Pittsburgh. But you bring him over here, don't really give him that hype.
Didn't fit in New York either.
No.
Or Kansas City.
James Conner?
You're thinking about Le'Veon Bell.
You're talking about Bell.
Whatever.
About Bell.
It happens. Too many guys.
Too
many washed running backs.
They try to get him the ball a lot in Pittsburgh because, they try to make him that go-to guy because Ben really isn't that guy anymore, and they just too much pressure. But when you have a guy like Murray, who is that guy, and it's less pressure on him, and just he can focus on what he has to do. That's getting the end zone. So.
Yeah, well, going back here to the Jaguars, they have a chance here tonight for Trevor Lawrence to improve and for this offense to get something going. Urban Meyer returns to the Buckeye State. Trevor Lawrence, along with Urban Meyer, go up against the former Buckeye LSU transfer in Joe Burrow in the Bengals in Cincinnati. And I think it's a big game just based on the fact that you see Joe Burrow going up against Meyer, and obviously there's not too much bad blood
Trevor
there.
Lawrence again.
Right, but there's not too much bad blood there. No. But at the same time, this is a game that is obviously going to go the Bengals' way. I don't think there's really much of a doubt in that. But you want to see how Trevor Lawrence performs in his first primetime game. You look at this 8:20 start for him, Thursday night football, coming on a short week after probably what you might look at as his best performance on the season. Mm-hmm. Now going up against the Bengals squad that's looking formidable and just played a tough game against the Steelers.
This is like a professional rematch of their
if
national
anything,
championship
I bet
game.
you there's more bad blood between Meyer and Lawrence. What do you think?
Perhaps.
That big game where there was that controversial call, and I will still say to the day I die that he had 3 steps down. But
we're not talking about whether or not it catches or no catches. It happened. Oh well. Just like Michael Penix scored the touchdown.
Oh my gosh. No.
How to trigger any Penn State fan.
We're talking professional right here.
Yeah.
How to trigger any Penn State fan. Just talk about Michael Penix.
He didn't though.
Yeah.
He
Well.
didn't.
I mean, you look at this Bengals squad coming in, obviously, the big win against the Steelers, 24-10. It's an offense that's scoring around 20 points per game, 20-plus. 27 week 1, 17 week 2, 24 week 3. So they're right there. They're all up in that mark. They're in the margin they need to be. And you look at this game, defense has been playing good. Coming off the big win against the Steelers, whose offense has kind of looked on and off, and this was definitely an off game for that offense. Jaguars' defense has been letting up, 20-plus, 30-plus in the first 3 weeks, winless. So you're interested to see, is this the chance the Bengals come out and show, hey, we're right there with those teams that Jacksonville just got blown out by, like the Cardinals, like the Broncos. Those last 2 weeks, not the Texans, but, those last 2 weeks between the two teams I just mentioned, Bengals can come out, put themselves in a similar territory of those teams that, have blown out the Jaguars. Bengals need to come in, play a big game tonight.
I mean, they're at home. It's definitely a good environment for them to jump out and, jump on the Jags. I mean, this should be their own 3. I mean, this is definitely a game where Bengals must have because they're going up against a lesser opponent. To stay in first place in their division.
Oh, no.
All right, so 2 players out, though, for the Bengals tonight. T. Higgins, shoulder and safety Jesse Bates III will be inactive for Thursday night's game. Higgins didn't play in Week 3's win over Pittsburgh, so not too concerned about it.
No.
Jamar Chase has been lighting it up right now for the Bengals. I'm expecting him to have a huge night up against those Jaguar safeties and corners that have been burned all season long. So we could be in for a night where the Bengals have 2 wide receivers over 100 yards, just like the Cardinals did in this past week.
Yeah.
Again, this past Sunday against Jacksonville. Should be a good game. Guys, let's give predictions here. Jacksonville, Cincinnati.
Oof.
Matt, you want to start it off?
Yes, Burrow and the Bengals will keep rolling.
Yeah, score, Matt. We
Oh,
know
score?
that. We know the Bengals are going to win. Give us
I
something.
don't know. 27 to, 14.
Okay.
I'm going Bengals 31-14. And I think it's going to be a big night for offense because I think that passing attack's pretty much strength of their offense so far. I mean, look at Jamar Chase getting 30-yard receptions every game.
Yeah.
So they're going to put up points in that aspect. And
I give 26-13 Bengals. Give it an odd score. It's Thursday night. It's a weird night for football. It starts at 8:20, a weird time. Give it a weird score. All right, let's finish up there with the NFL. Let's get into some college stuff here. Maryland Terrapins potentially might get us ringing our new bell here on the show as they're taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes, 5th ranked in the country. It's in Maryland here. Both teams undefeated. Iowa so far on the season wins over Indiana, Iowa State, Kent State, and Colorado State. Everyone wants to point to this Colorado State game last week. In the 2014-14 game, Colorado State almost prevailed, and it took Iowa a tough performance. One of the few times we've had to see them actually press it towards the end of the ball game. It might end up as the trap game for Iowa. They have Penn State following in next weekend's game, so now they're in a 4-0 opponent against Maryland, and the potential of looking too far ahead is where they might get trapped in this game. What are your guys' thoughts going up against what might be the best quarterback in the Big Ten right now in Taulia Tagovailoa, Tua's younger brother, who struggled last season but has found his rhythm so far this year?
Ask me, I think that's the only reason or way they lose this game is if they're just kind of pushing them aside looking towards next week for Penn State. But I don't really think I don't consider this a huge upset if Maryland were to win.
I mean, they're at 4-0. I mean, if it's a close game, like I'm talking 3-point game, I say you still rank Maryland. Even if
they're not going to get ranked if they lose.
But still,
they probably should be, but they're not going to be.
They should be.
They could be right now if you want to make that argument.
Yeah, they could be right now.
This kind of is what we were talking about with some of those Big 12 matchups yesterday on the
Auburn.
show. Right, Auburn's ranked 22nd. They probably shouldn't be because we were looking at teams. What was it?
What was the other one?
Out there,
Auburn and
Oklahoma State and Kansas State both should have been ranked going into that matchup, and there were a few others I just can't think of at the moment that we were talking about on yesterday's show. Definitely deserved rankings over a team like Auburn, who's been poor in the season. Huh?
A&M as well.
Yeah, A&M is a terrible team, and yet they're ranked 15th in the country, which is ridiculous. We talked about that yesterday a little bit, so we're not going back at it today.
No.
But this West Virginia squad that Maryland beat last time out, was 2-2. I think that's everyone points at as the biggest win. And West Virginia squad nearly pulled the upset over Oklahoma. They upset number 15 Virginia Tech, and they were in a 6-point game against this Maryland squad. So now you look at this Maryland team, that was their first game of the season. They picked up their win to start it off. They go out there week 2, do what they had to do against Howard, 62-0. The Illinois game is the head scratcher here. 2017 against a poor Illinois squad who's once again poor. They have the worst quarterback in the Big Ten. He's ranked 14 out of 14 in everything, basically. I mean, it's Illinois' offense. You're not going to blame it all on Brandon Peters, but at the same time, they've been poor. We know that out of Illinois. First-year head coach, we'll see what they can do in recruiting. Yeah. That comes into the big point. Get your recruits in there, work with what you got the first 2 years, and see what you can do. Then last week, they didn't dominate the way they should have against Kent. It was 37-16, but if Maryland wants to prevail themselves as the team in the Big Ten, a premier program, someone who's on the rise, you have to do better against a team like Kent State, who has been blown out time and time again on the season. 41-10 to Texas. Oh, pardon me, that was last year. Kent State on the season, they played, Iowa. It was 30-7, and right before this game. So you look at Kent State, the common denominator. Kent State put up more offense here against Maryland, allowed a little bit more in defense, but I don't know. Kent State is a team that gets blown out. It's what happens. I want to see, just like I wanted Iowa to blow them out more, I want to see Maryland blow them out more. Yeah. It's Kent. My brother went there. They sucked all the years he was there. I think they had 3 combined wins in his 4 years. They're not a good football program. They were rated one of the worst FBS programs in history. They were down there in the bottom 125s. They're not good at football. They made their first bowl appearance. Congratulations. They won their first bowl game. That was the big storyline for them.
But no.
Out of conference, it does not matter for Kent State. They play in conference. They look to get the MAC. They go out of conference to get those big matchups, that big money. But back to this game here, Maryland, Iowa. Same way we're talking Iowa looking ahead to Penn State. Maryland's got to be looking ahead a little bit scared too. Back-to-back huge games. Next one on the road. They got Iowa this week, Ohio State the next. So you almost wonder, does Maryland start getting caught up looking too much at the rest of their schedule?
Yeah.
And obviously, they're not, overlooking a number 5 team for a number 11 team. But at the same time, you almost may get that series of doubt, like, we have one of the hardest schedules in the Big Ten coming up here. Can we do this? And that's when you rely on the leaders like Tolley in this game to come out, show, hey, we're Maryland, we're coming up here. We had a great out-of-conference schedule, like they always do. What do we keep talking about here for Maryland? They start 4-0. And everyone's Maryland, they get ranked, they're coming in here, they're all hot. They got a great out-of-conference win. They come in here and drop 4 straight in the Big Ten.
Well, this is the year that they can't do that. They can't keep repeating that year after year. They have to come out here, and give it to Iowa, then come out next week and give something else to Ohio State.
They have to get at least between Iowa and Ohio State. They at least get one of those wins.
If they want to consider themselves the big program, they need one of those wins. Yeah, but you look for Iowa. This is a team that is right now running the Big Ten. Spencer Petras at quarterback, struggled a little bit in that game last week, but he did what he had to. He put up the numbers. It was an okay performance for him. But he needs the big game. He needs the big back-to-back games here against Maryland and Penn State. This Iowa team, they're not looking for awards in this season. They're after 2 goals.
Yeah.
Big Ten championship, number 1. Number 2, national championship. This is a team that has been building slowly, just kind of running over everybody else in the Big Ten West here. And they've had a team come in every single year and just out of the pan, nowhere. Northwestern, Wisconsin will have a big year. Here comes Purdue. And Iowa's just sat there, a team that's gone 9-3, 9-3, 8-4, 10-2. They're always right there. They're on, the cusp of being a national contender. They're there. Right now, this is their chance to say, we are here. Take it to an undefeated opponent. Big Ten conference play this week. Then take it to Penn State. You get to host Penn State next week. This is a chance right now for Iowa to cement themselves for the Big Ten West in a way I don't think they've been able to make a statement before in their past seasons.
This is definitely their best chance. Team-wise, everybody keeps talking about their defense. Defensively, this is like their best chance they've had in the last couple of years. Keep saying they're right there on the cusp of being somebody in the Big Ten, they're always formidable, but somebody
Right.
that's we look at is a different level in the Big Ten.
And you look at their upcoming schedule, just past those 2 games. Right after that, they have the team that technically sits in first place in the Big Ten West, a 3-1 Purdue. I think a lot of people are overlooking Purdue because they're not one of those undefeated teams.
Yeah.
They're still 3-1 on the season, currently first place in the Big Ten West because they had an early season, in conference game. So it is what it is. But Iowa, they need to get this thing rolling quickly because it's now, and then the last half of the season, they can start resting a little bit. But they start here with the hardest Big Ten slate, that they may have had in recent years. So I think this is a huge game. What are your guys' predictions?
Matt, you have one yet? I think Iowa wins, but
I got it.
Maryland hasn't been 5-0 for the last 2 decades.
Oh man.
That's probably the big stat right there. You look at that, they haven't done it. And I mean, we're getting down to a very close potential game here.
I got it.
Go ahead, man.
I don't know.
I like Iowa to win it, but it's like you said. I think it's gonna be close. I don't have a score yet, but I think it's gonna be a close game. Because Iowa's defense is gonna allow a whole lot of. Maryland's gonna score, but they're not gonna allow a huge amount of points.
Iowa just a -3, a 3-point favorite to win this game.
I gotta go. I like Iowa. I do. I want to go upset here. I'm gonna go different.
Ooh.
We're gonna go upset.
I'm going Iowa by a touchdown. I like them to cover the 3 points.
I'll do Maryland by a touchdown.
You thinking or?
Thinking.
I don't know.
It's a tough one.
I feel like I gotta just go different one time. Like it could go either way.
Well, like I said, I don't think it's. I'm not considering it's a huge upset. They won. It's an upset, but it's not huge.
It's not
it's
huge.
5 versus unranked.
Yeah.
A 4-0 unranked, but still unranked. We're talking a top 5.
It is an
team
upset.
in the league getting upset.
I know.
This is a team that was ranked 4th last week too. They struggled against Colorado State. 10-point game. You look at Iowa State, their big win. A 10-point game there against an Iowa State team that's now falling off. So their biggest wins are kind of looking not so big.
Yeah.
Iowa, you see the slide in the rankings. They go from 4 to 5. Penn State jumps them after the big win against Auburn, which may not be as big as we thought it was, but it's a big win nonetheless because they was ranked at the time, and it's an SEC opponent, so you take that win. And you look at it, it's like, all right, we beat the SEC, one of the biggest SEC teams, program-wise at least. We don't know what Auburn's going to be in the next couple of weeks. We'll find out, and we'll know then how big that win was. But Iowa needs a statement here.
We do.
Petras need to come out there and show, I'm a Heisman-level quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not just any other Iowa quarterback that, is a flash in the pan, has a good season, has a few good seasons like Nate Stanley. He was great. Iowa didn't make the, turn into the NFL. This isn't a group that produces NFL-level quarterbacks. Iowa's known for the big hefties, the tight ends,
Linebackers.
Hawkinson, Kittle, tight end.
This is the chance for Spencer Petras to come out here and show that Iowa has what it takes, finally. Because I think what's left them short is not having that quarterback to lead this team when they need to. In big games against out-of-conference opponents where you can't run the football 1,500 times and expect to win, or you have to open up the offense. They haven't been able to do that. I think Petras is the guy that can do that.
Yeah.
But I think Taulia might be a little bit better. We might find out here tonight or tomorrow. It's a Friday night game as well. It's 8 p.m. Friday night under the lights in Maryland. I have Iowa plus 10. I'll go 30-20. 30-20.
I wanted you to ring the bell. That's what I was looking for.
Hey man, gotta save the bell here. You can't just go ringing it, willy dilly out there.
That's tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, yeah.
There's a couple games on tomorrow night.
But wait, no, you won't be watching that game tomorrow night because we got Matt and myself, Newton Falls in
Brookfield.
There we go.
Yeah.
You got to watch that
Randy
one.
Clark, 102 wins?
102, I think.
102 wins now. Yeah.
And Newton Falls definitely didn't get a shutout last week, so we'll preview that game tomorrow at the beginning of the show there, and you'll make sure to tune into that one. I guarantee it. You better watch.
Wait till we go call Andy Hake again. We got to talk about him coming here.
Oh,
getting on the show.
We'll get Andy Hake here eventually.
Eventually.
Another big game, though, for Saturday noon game for the Wolverines in Wisconsin against the 1-2 Badgers. 4-0 for Michigan right now. They're ranked 14th. A good chance for them to move up in the standings here. Wisconsin comes off that terrible loss last week against Notre Dame. Their two big games of the season have both been against top 10 opponents, and they were close there against Penn State. 6-point game. They were close for a majority of this game against Notre Dame. It's just the 31-point fourth quarter from Notre Dame really turned that around. Yeah. We're going to a game tied 10-10 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So I think you take that Wisconsin fourth quarter with a grain of salt, because that's not how they performed in that rest of the game. And the rest of the season, they haven't performed like that either. I think that was just one of those things. Notre Dame turned it on, and Wisconsin was their own worst enemy. They made the mistakes, and Notre Dame capitalized on it, and they ran it up there in that fourth quarter. Yeah. So I think you have to take that loss with a grain of salt by the score margin. But I still think this is a great game for Michigan. I think they go 5-0. I think they take this one by, I'll go plus 12 Michigan here. I'll take a, let's go 29-17. All about the weird scores today.
That's a good pick. I'm going Michigan as well. So far this season, I don't like to play from Wisconsin's offense.
No,
they don't capitalize when they're supposed to. They make too many stretches. They make too many mistakes coming down the stretch. When you saw this past week.
Abysmal to watch.
Yeah, Graham
He's
Mertz.
the reason they got blown out. He kept on throwing pick sixes in the fourth.
Yeah.
I got Michigan, unfortunately. But
how about this great game coming up? Number 6 Oklahoma Sooners. Formerly ranked number 25, Kansas State, 3-1, 4-0. Kansas State coming off a very big game last week against now ranked number 19, Oklahoma State, who's undefeated on the season so far. This is a huge one. Oklahoma's been on the down. They've been struggling. They barely pull off the win in back-to-back weeks against Nebraska and West Virginia. The West Virginia team was not too bad, 2-2. We talked about it with Maryland.
Yeah.
But then you got a Nebraska team who's 2-3 on the season. Doesn't look too great. A.J. Martinez, though, top 10 quarterback right now in the Big Ten. I think he's ranked around 6th place. He has great numbers and great passer ratings, not the touchdown stat, which is the important one. But you look at this game right here, Oklahoma, K-State. Give me your thoughts, guys.
I mean, this is a team that they've had some issues with in the past.
They have. And K-State, I mean, they were ranked before, they had that last loss. I forget who they lost to. But, I mean, they're a team that can come out. They've talked about that team on the verge of turning over and becoming a good team even after that loss. And, I mean, this is definitely a game that they're going to try and jump on quick and take it to Oklahoma, who's had some bad performances, we'll go bad wins against some bad teams, you know, in the past couple of weeks. So, I mean, you don't know what can happen.
You don't know, and that's why you don't know much. You don't know about Oklahoma sometimes either.
No.
So, you know what? I'm going K-State here.
Me too. I go upset.
I'm tempted to. I think they can.
That bell wants to be rung.
It does. I can hear it, man. I can hear it. It's in my ear right now.
What do you do?
Right now, Oklahoma sits at a 10.5 point favorite over Kansas State here in this game.
Don't go by that.
It matters though.
I'm putting it out
there. What are the experts thinking? Let the fans know. Let them make their own.
If anybody wants to bet this weekend, they need to know this stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you gotta let the bettors know.
Like I am.
Right. Mike's like,
not this one.
What is this game? Yeah, this is not the one you want to bet here.
Decisions.
Kansas State. I mean, I haven't been overly impressed with them. I haven't been, under-impressed with them. They've been right where they needed to be so far. You obviously look at that game against Iowa State for them, against Oklahoma State. You wanted them to come out with that win in that game. They didn't have the best game offensively. They couldn't run it. They couldn't pass it. I think they're going up against a much better defense in Oklahoma. A defense for Oklahoma that has been dominant on the season so far, and really has turned it around since their downs of of old. This is an Oklahoma team that is making the switch over to SEC football. And I think they started doing it the right way. Getting a defense, making defense Oklahoma's identity, and then letting their spectacular offenses go to work. We haven't seen the offenses yet, though. Obviously, we saw 76-0 over WCU and 40-35 over Tulane. That was the one game the defense struggled in. Defense, though, these last 3 weeks have looked good. The offense hasn't. Kansas State, this is a team I think hasn't found their identity. They have the big win in week 1, nearly lose week 2 to an FCS team, just pull out 3-touchdown win over Nevada, and then they come in here, fall flat against Oklahoma State. I think I take this in. Oklahoma goes 5-0. And I'll take it. I think Oklahoma's offense finds the mark 34-24.
I was going to say, do you like that 10.5 or?
Yeah. No.
K-State covers the spread. I'll give K-State covering. But bell has not been rung yet. But we got 4-0 Boston College going into Death Valley to take on the number 25, 2-2 Clemson Tigers. Boston College on the season, 4-0. They've had okay wins. They haven't played anybody good. They faced Missouri, went to overtime last week, took wins over Temple, UMass, and Colgate in their first 3 weeks. So it's a 4-0 team, yes, but Clemson has the harder losses. Yeah. They've had harder games. I mean, look at the Georgia Tech game. A Georgia Tech game that we've now seen, those Georgia Tech, what are the Yellow Jackets?
Yeah.
The Yellow Jackets have taken it to just about everyone they've seen so far and have pulled off, when they pulled off the upset last week, and obviously NC State pulled off the upset over Clemson in this past weekend.
That was awesome.
Clemson doesn't lose 2 in a row. I think that's something anybody who watches college football knows. Clemson doesn't lose 2 in a row.
I mean, we were talking about the point spread in the last game. This is a game that I'm looking for for some people betting this weekend, because I think Clemson wins this game, but it's a 15.5 point spread, and I like Boston College. Now it's 16. It looks like. I like Boston College with the points. I think it's gonna be a closer game, so I like them with the points.
Me too.
Because Clemson's offense is going through too many issues right now.
They are. And Boston College defense, they've been known to be a tough defense over the years. And
Jeff Hadley, former defense coordinator of Ohio State, who was the reason Ohio State had a great defense for so many years.
They're going to jump on DJ. And who's their running back?
Clemson's?
Yeah, what's his name? You'll get it. Shipley.
Yeah, Will Shipley had a bad performance, 11-36 and 1 touchdown last week. So, Matt, you've got the Eagles taking it. Give me a score.
Yeah, I got to go Eagles. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Well, if it is, Clemson ain't winning.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they better hope it's not.
Right.
I got to go maybe like a 24-20, maybe.
I mean, like I said, I like
Clemson
to win
upsets.
this. I can't see them going 2-3 and falling under 500. Even though they're having a lot of issues right now, I don't.
Did you hear what? Go ahead.
Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah, Paul Feinbaum was saying.
Dynasty is dead.
Dynasty is
I don't know if it's
gone.
dead. I mean, they're having a bad year.
Dabo's dynasty.
That's what they said about Nick Saban when he went.
That's what I was just gonna say.
That's what they said about Penn State when they went 4-5. Oh, James Franklin's tenure in Penn State's done.
They said that?
Yes.
Oh man.
All the Penn State fans
every time
the
the team has a down year, they say it's over.
I know. I don't think
people have been calling for Ryan Bayshead after the Oregon loss.
But Penn State hasn't been a dynasty yet, so they had no reason to bash James Franklin last year. Look what he's done for them.
Listen, I don't think Dabo's dynasty is over. I mean, I can't stand the man, but it's not over. I mean, it's a down year for everybody, and you're holding that bell. So why don't you go ahead and make your pick?
Wait. Like I said, just to repeat, I like Clemson to win. It's gonna be close, but I like Boston College with the 15.5.
Alec.
So you picked.
I got Boston College.
I picked Clemson. It's going to be a tough game here.
It's going to be an ugly one.
It's going to be ugly to watch. I don't think we're going to see much good offense
it's gonna be a good game
from Clemson. I think Boston College is about to roll up into Death Valley against the 2-2 Clemson, coming off a 41-point game against the now 2-2 Missouri Tigers. Grossel at quarterback, win 18-29, 2 touchdowns for him. But Pat Garrow on the ground, 175 yards. He goes 150 again. Ring the bell, baby! We have an upset! Woo! First bell ring of the year here. Boston College taking it against Clemson. Not only are they covering the spread, obviously, with the win, they're flipping it around. They take it 16-plus against Clemson.
Oh, you think
I have a
going
30-14 win for the Boston College Eagles. They go 5-0, hit the top 20s.
You're reversing the points there.
Doug's
You're
been going to the
route.
games.
Jeez.
I have to talk about this. Doug Flutie's been going to all the games, and they've been winning. Hopefully he'll be at this game.
You would imagine he would be.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Doug Flutie. Man.
Well, perhaps do we see the bell come out? Two predictions here in a row. Next game up, the 3-1 Louisville Cardinals, the 4-0 Wake Forest Demon Deacons, ranked number 24. Louisville coming off the win against last week against Florida State. They've had back-to-back close games here. They dropped their first game of the season against number 12 Ole Miss. It was 43-24. Then they went out week 2. They did their job against the FCS. They've struggled back-to-back weeks. 42-35 over UCF. 31-23 over Florida State, and 0-4 now Florida State team. Cunningham has looked pretty good, but he's been that dual threat quarterback that Louisville has had great success with when it came from Lamar Jackson now into this Cunningham kid. They're looking good. This is a team that potentially is threatening here in the ACC. You go Wake Forest. This is a team that also has played that same Florida State team. They beat them 35-14, though. They come off a 20-point win last week against Virginia, a near 30-point win against Norfolk State, and then a 32-point win against Old Dominion in this. So coming into this one, it's a 3-1, 4-0. Huge matchup, though, early on for the ACC to grab those early season bragging rights and get their first win in the ACC standings. Boys, take it away.
I mean, for bragging rights, for ACC, you're definitely going to hope for a close game. You're definitely going to hope for Wake Forest to win it so they can move up in the rankings.
They're already 2-0 right now in the ACC, looking to make it 3-0.
This Demon Deacons team, they're looking like a demon of a team. They're coming out. I mean, we've never seen them do this good in a while. It's been a while.
It's been a long time for them in football.
So I think I'm not going to give you my pick yet, but I think it's going to be very hard for them to get out of this streak that they're going on. They're playing really good. I mean, I was saying this about Rutgers, and Rutgers finally lost. But I mean, it's still a rival here, but it's a lower down rival. It's not like Alabama versus Clemson or Ohio State, Georgia. But it's still a rival. But I gotta go. I'm not going upset. I gotta go Demon Deacons.
Mike, why don't you give us a little bit of input on this game?
I'm going Louisville, but like I said with the Maryland game, I don't think it'd be a huge upset. I don't find this one a huge upset at all. It's a 2014 ranked team going against a team that's right behind them in the standings in their own conference. So I'm going Louisville, but I don't consider it a huge upset.
Vols working it right now. Dual threat quarterback. He's been running it. He's been throwing it around the yard. But they've struggled back-to-back weeks to take out their opponents. And it's against a UCF team who, they look okay. This isn't the UCF team of old. They picked up the win against Boise State. They won against whoever this is. What's this? Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. 63-14.
Have they won any other games? The Bethune-Cookman Wildcats?
Probably. No, something.
I doubt it.
It said whatever.
No, they haven't. But, UCF has not looked like a UCF of old, so that 42-35 game leaves a lot of question marks right now for Louisville's defense in this ball game. 23 against Florida State they allowed. Florida State team who is obviously 0-4 in the season, lost to Jacksonville State 20-17, lost to the same Wake Forest team 35-14, lost to Notre Dame by 3. This is not, the Louisville of Lamar Jackson's era. This isn't a team that's going top 10. And this isn't a team come Saturday that's going to win the football game. I got Wake Forest taking it. I give Wake Forest plus 17 in this one. I'll go 38-21 to the Demon Deacons. Right. Statement win.
Did you make your
Yes. Yeah. I said Demon Deacons.
Yeah. All right, well, Bell, tucked back away here. We're out of college football. Let's get into some other stuff here, some headlines from around the sports world. From rags to riches, boxing great Manny Pacquiao has announced his retirement after 26 years, a 72-fight career, 62 wins, 8 losses, 2 draws. Of those 62 wins, 39 were by knockout, 23 by decision, 12 world titles, and is the only fighter in history to win titles in 8 different weight classes.
Absolutely. He's magnificent.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think he's the greatest boxer of all time.
No.
But you know what? I think he's done maybe more for the sport than many other great boxers.
Yeah.
He has really held down the boxing world after, their departure of the 90s. You know, they were boxing was the forefront of sports. You know,
In the
70s,
90s.
80s, 90s. They were like, oh, you gotta watch the fight. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch Ali. You gotta watch Tyson.
Holyfield, even go Kelly Pavlik. You
Right.
gotta go Kelly.
Yeah.
You gotta go the other Youngstown boy. Oh man.
And as a guy who started out in the 90s, you know, he was late 90s, 96 when his career started. He's been holding it down last, 20 plus years, and has really, I think, been the lone spotlight. I mean, obviously we have Floyd, who, brought this shebang into the boxing world. Oh, I got Money Mayweather over here.
Showy.
And I remember
he was a show. But you look at Manny Pacquiao, over what he's done in 26 years for him, he has held down the fort, I think, for the boxing world. And I think perhaps if it's not for Pacquiao, we're not in the boxing that we see right now with, Fury and Wilson and all these other guys, and the big up that we've now had back here in the 20s. I mean, it's been really 30 years since we've seen the boxing world be the forefront of sports, and it's coming back around.
It's coming back around. It
You know,
really is.
We talked about this on the show when it came with, the way that the YouTubers have kind of embraced this boxing world and brought, I think, a lot of the younger generation into it. Because I think without I think without YouTube really getting involved in this, boxing doesn't get back to what it is.
No.
Yeah.
And I think because the light has been shined on a few of these other boxers and just how good they are, how talented they are. And obviously, I mean, Tyson Fury he's a big guy too, who's one of the best boxers we've seen here.
He's unorthodox. I mean, you look at him, he looks like a guy that pours gravel for a living. Like, he looks like a blue-collar guy. He doesn't have, I mean...
Like a hardcore worker.
No, you look at him, you looked at that Wilder versus Fury fight, and that's coming up again, like next week or something like that, I think. But we'll talk about that later. But you look at Wilder, and Wilder's like ripped, looks like a boxer. And then you see Fury, this guy looks like he just stopped drinking or something to lose weight, And Fury, October 9th.
Next week.
Oh, that's going to be a big day. You got Penn State versus Iowa, and then you got that boxing match. Oh, man, that's going to be a big day. But, I mean, he's quick, too, and he's got that reach.
We're not talking Fury right now, but back here with Pacquiao, just what he's done for the sport. I mean, he has done so much over the last 20 years, really holding it down. He's been the premier boxer in the league. I mean, everyone who wanted to be someone who went, I need to test myself against Pacquiao. Pacquiao lost a lot of those big fights in the later stages of his career.
A couple of them were controversial.
Right.
Like the Mayweather fight.
Exactly.
You believe that he won that fight.
Yeah, I mean, you always believe you win that if you don't get knocked out, so...
If it went down to
any fighter worth his salt ain't going to say I lost that match.
It went down to a decision.
No competitor likes to say they lost.
Right.
No,
but I mean, I think you just have to give credit to Manny Pacquiao for holding down boxing while he did, dominating for 26 years, and has decided to retire at 42 years old, plenty of money, and hopefully has minimal amounts of brain damage as possible, and can ride off to the sunset and perhaps become a trainer, something else that he can continue making boxing what it is. 'Cause this seems to be a guy that doesn't want to step away from boxing entirely. I mean, we'll see what he ends up doing, but I mean, what a huge moment it is for Pacquiao.
Huge career. We'll see what he does afterwards. I mean, like you said, being a trainer, possibly being a boxing analyst. So we'll see what he does. I don't think he wants to step away from the sport.
No.
Well, if you want to know what he's doing, apparently he's going to promise to fight poverty in the Philippines and warn corrupt politicians they will soon end up in jail. So Pacquiao taking the courtroom by storm now.
All right.
So we'll see what happens there. Best of luck to Manny Pacquiao, and hopefully he doesn't get killed.
What's wrong with you?
We're talking corrupt politicians here. Like, come on.
in a country where it's like that. It's different level.
Yeah.
This ain't like, all right. Well, let's move on here out of Manny Pacquiao's retirement. Some baseball, the wild card coming down to it. We're down to, just a few teams left here. Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and the Mariners. 3 teams out of the AL East. Currently, chances to make the playoffs, 82% for the Yanks, 75% for the Red Sox, 23% for the Blue Jays. Mariners at a 19.1%. You preview the rest of these games coming up. Mariners have 3 left to make their stand, and they face the Anaheim Angels in all of those. You go over to the Yankees. Yeah, they face the Blue Jays here. They've dropped they have split last 2 games between the Blue Jays with them. They got 3rd game of the series here tonight, 7:07 tonight. Tomorrow, they start their final series against the Tampa Bay Rays, a team who first place in the AL East could just be potentially, sitting down and taking the lumps.
Yeah,
so it's a good chance the Yankees can come in and take those 3 games away with fair amounts of ease.
But you could even make an argument with Tampa Bay's depth. They could still want to just knock their division opponent out of the playoffs because they very well can. Win 2 out of 3, the Yankees are in bad shape there.
But if things stay the way they are, which I really hope they don't, because I want to see the Blue Jays in the playoffs, because I like Guerrero and all the other players that they have. But if it comes down to it at the end there, that is going to be one heck of a wild.
This is the thing, Matt. You want to see Guerrero in the playoffs.
Sox?
You want to see Guerrero in the playoffs because you can make an argument that Shohei Ohtani's had an unbelievable year.
Yeah. But
you can make an argument that Guerrero could be MVP of the American League.
He could be.
He's been that good.
They have Bo Bichette. They have other players that are pretty good too. But when it comes down to it, and if it's Yankees, Red Sox, wild card,
they're in good shape in the American League for any of the matchups they get.
That'll be a great game.
Well, let's keep previewing here. Red Sox have gone 1-1 against the Orioles in their 2 games so far in this series. 4-2 first, 6-0 in the second. Here, Game 3 of their series before they finish off the season against the Nationals in Washington for their final 3 games. Then you look ahead. Blue Jays schedule, obviously we talk Yankees. They get to finish out against the Orioles. So if they can take this game against the Yankees and win those 3 against the Orioles, they could find themselves in the right spot. Just right in there in the conversation for the AL East in that final wild card spot. They need the Yankees to lose, though. If the Yankees take that game tonight, it might be all over with the shouting for the Blue Jays. And Red Sox, they're right there. They're battling back and forth between themselves and the Yankees for that final spot. The Red Sox need to take that game tonight against the Orioles. They need to go in there strong against the Nationals. And I think, obviously, they need the Yankees to lose. If the Yankees win these last 4 games, it's the Yankees. So right now, it's New York's chance to lose.
Yeah, it is.
You even see with Toronto, they got a huge win last night. They needed that in the worst way, and that place was electric last night. That was a good environment for them. Get another one tonight.
Same situation down here, though. Mariners 89 wins as well. So you look at their schedule with just the Angels left on their schedule next 3 games.
Games they should win.
Games they should win against the Angels here. Games that they just took the series last time out. They won 2 out of 3. The one they lost, though, 14-1 on September 25th. Yeah. So just 5 days ago, they had the same series. They need to come back out here, win all 3 of these, and then they still have to hope the Yankees lose, I think, twice in order to take that final spot, which means they also need the Red Sox to lose and perhaps the Blue Jays to lose as well. So it's a harder road for the Mariners, but they have to control their own destiny right now. Make it so you force the other teams to make the mistake. Don't be the one that, gives the automatic bid in.
It's a hard road it's hard for them because talk about the percentage chance they have to make the playoffs, but this is hard for all 4 of these teams. You have 4 teams within 1 game of each other, 2 games of each other. So you couldn't ask for a better scenario for baseball coming down the stretch, and you're going to get a good matchup regardless who it is.
Yeah.
Right. As we said yesterday on the show, once we get into the playoffs, we'll make all of our predictions, including World Series champion prediction. Who will it be this time? You'll have to find out.
Oh man.
Might be huge.
Cardinals.
Taking the Arizona Cardinals to win the MLB championship. The MLB Super Bowl.
The MLB Stanley Cup.
Well, that just ruins it, man.
That would be.
It was a one-time thing, that's it.
All right, quickly here before we wrap it up. It took a monumental, historic 8th inning for the Dodgers, but they pulled off the 11-9 win over the San Diego Padres last night. And Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about that to end out the show here? You got about 2 minutes, so run it down.
So Mookie Betts had a home run in the 7th inning to pull them closer to the Padres. They were losing by 4 runs, I think it was. Then in the bottom of the 8th, the very next inning, Max Muncy hit a home run, and then right after that, A.J. Pollock hit a home run, so you had back-to-back homers. Then in the same inning, you had Cody Bellinger hit a game-tying home run, and then Corey Seager hit the home run to take the lead and then to win the game 11-9. So you had 4 home runs in 1 inning, and then you had 1 in the previous inning, so you had... it was ridiculous. That's what the Dodgers do. That's what games hit home runs. Crazy.
We'll see how their game works come playoff time. They've got the wild card spot potentially. We'll see how that ends up wrapping up there. But as we're down to our final minute of the show, thank you all for tuning in once again. Week 3 all but almost wrapped up. We got great things on set for tomorrow. Big college football games, perhaps some more of the upset bell. The NFL preview, and Matt, your and I's high school preview for the weekend. So make sure to tune in tomorrow, the best wrap-up of the week. We'll see you out there tomorrow with Meathead of the Week and our highlights of the week from the show and around the sports world. Couple other things we'll talk about. I'm Alec, that's Matt, that's Mike. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.